Thanks for joining us again. This is Tyler. We got Mike Holm, Kevin Leversey, and we're going to talk to you about another conspiracy tonight. For over a decade, the U.S. government, I believe, has admitted to feeding false information to a UFO researcher, Paul Bennewitz. And Mike's here to tell us a little bit more about that.
He didn't start out as a UFO researcher, though, did he? He just was like a concerned citizen.
Well, yeah, that's what's interesting is he was a electrical physicist or something. You know, he was an engineer.
Yeah, he was. I think he was an electrical engineer and a physicist. So he, somewhere in the middle, those two trades met. But yeah, from what I can tell, I mean, obviously, he didn't establish himself as a UFO researcher. I think that given the area where he was living, I think it was always of interest to him. I mean, this is just speculation on my part, but I think it was always of interest to him. And as he kind of went through his life, he got more and more involved in it, because from what I can tell, he, you read some things that say he was a very well-respected UFO researcher prior to this, whole thing with Kirtland Air Force Base happening. And then others will describe it as maybe he, like some sort of hobbyist.
Right.
So
I agree.
It's kind of unclear.
Both those characterizations are wrong. He saw some things, and he investigated a little further into them, and then kind of retroactively got labeled a UFO researcher or, a hobbyist, right? UFO hobbyist.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the way it started, though. I know that he was in Albuquerque, right? Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that New Mexico is basically a defense contractor's paradise. I have family who have worked for Sandia National Laboratory, and I'm always wondering, what else did they see? My grandpa was working for Sandia National Labs when the atom bomb was created. That's one of two national laboratories that helped create the atom bomb. And to this day, my grandpa hasn't really divulged much of that part of his past.
Yeah.
Did he?
Do you know if your grandfather knew? Oh crap! What's his name? Basically, the father of the A-bomb. I'm trying to think of his name.
I don't know, but that's a good question to ask him.
Okay.
That's a good question to ask.
Never mind. Him. I'm going to mute myself in a minute.
So anyways, I don't want anyone to break their non-disclosure agreements or anything.
Yes, Oppenheimer.
But yeah, New Mexico, Sandia National Laboratory. If you go down the rabbit hole far enough, you're inevitably going to go there. So
yeah. I think before we get too deep into this, really quick kind of summary on Paul Bennewitz. Not necessarily what happened to him at the end of this, but basically, Paul Bennewitz, like we said, was a physicist, electrical engineer. He lived in an area where he had a pretty good view of Kirtland Air Force Base. Being that he was a UFO researcher or a UFO hobbyist, however you want to categorize it, he had that interest, and he also had the knowledge and the know-how to, photograph, film, and kind of take different measurements in regard to some of the things that he was seeing at night in the area of Kirtland Air Force Base.
So did he capture some footage that was...
He's got 2,600 feet of film.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds
I don't know
like
how
a
many.
lot. What does that work out to in like duration?
I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know. It does sound like a lot though, but who knows
It's like,
if it actually is a lot. Is it like 3 minutes? Is it? Okay.
That's like 4 minutes of film.
Right. That's like
Well,
oh shit,
we're live. We can't edit that out. 2,600
Right.
feet sounds a lot better.
Yeah, it does.
It's like trying to download porn 20 years ago. You're waiting, and it goes, and you're like, you waited
Dial-up
45 minutes for
connection.
that.
So anyway, given the area that he lived in and his interests, he was seeing a lot of strange lights in the sky, and he decided to start snapping pictures. He decided to start recording film. He also had, like I mentioned, like measurement equipment that could measure like electromagnetivity, basically from a source. Okay. So he starts seeing all this crazy stuff, and basically being an upstanding American citizen, he thinks that this is a threat to the Air Force Base. So he reports it to the Air Force Base, and then basically the downward spiral of Paul Bennewitz begins. So
so this is kind
It's
of
not pretty, folks.
I have a very superficial knowledge of what happened to Paul Bennewitz. So feel free to fill in the blanks. But as I understand it, he was basically made a mockery of by the U.S. government. Because they found out that he was investigating UFOs, they fed him false information for some years. At some point, they may have admitted to that fact.
Yeah.
I'm not actually sure if that's true.
Yeah, it's a straight up admission. Yeah,
it was a straight up admission.
Yeah.
Even the special agent that worked for him has come out publicly, and he's proud of it. He's proud of it. And the dude killed himself.
Richard Dodie. Yeah. So and I guess the justification for basically forcing Paul Bennewitz, first they discredit him and his work, and then they lead him down this path where it actually drives him insane.
Wow.
And they did this using the justification that, well, he was seeing top secret projects being tested at the range. And we were afraid that with the pictures that he had, with the video that he had, and with the measurement detection devices that he had, that he could actually gain quite a bit of knowledge about what these secret projects were, how they worked, and so forth.
Okay, so
and they basically, it's like today, they blamed it. We didn't want him to tell the Russians.
Okay, so let's walk people through what he saw, or what he claims he saw, what he has documentary evidence he saw.
Sure.
Because I think that'll shed light on the situation.
Sure. As far as what he saw, I haven't seen the video. I don't know if anybody has seen the Bennewitz video.
Okay.
But as far as what he saw, he's seeing lights in the sky above the Air Force Base that are performing maneuvers that should not be able to be performed by any.
And this is when? What time period?
Oh man.
80s, 70s.
I want to say it was the late 70s, early 80s.
Okay.
I could look real quick. But while this is going on, being that this is an area of interest to him, another man by the name of Dr. Leo Sprinkle steps in to basically assist him in this research.
Great name.
And I love the name Leo Sprinkle.
Leo Sprinkle.
Dr. Leo Sprinkle. And with these two working together, I'll just touch on this particular story real quick. They come across a woman that claims to have seen the same things, and she also claims to have been abducted by a craft, that she was taken aboard in an alien craft, and that her and her son were implanted.
Her and her son.
Yes, I believe it was her and her son, if I remember correctly, and I can double check that. Given this story, it just kind of so happens that Dr. Leo Sprinkle is a trained hypnotist. So they decided to hypnotize her to find out, if she's really telling the truth. And that's actually when they find out the additional details about being taken aboard a craft, about being implanted with some sort of chip or device or whatever you want to call it.
So it was deep in hypnosis that this woman reveals all of her memories, and she remembers being taken aboard a alien craft.
Yeah. So at that, prior to this, it's kind of like Bennewitz is seeing some strange things. It interests him and he wants to dig deeper, but upon hypnotizing this woman and hearing all of the additional details is where he really, decides to start digging in deep.
So
there was also
interest in her story. It's got additional credibility because she was under hypnosis when she revealed the details of her experience.
Correct.
And this sounds like a turning point for Paul Bennewitz.
Yes. Another part of the story goes that, like I had mentioned before, upon him seeing these, kind of strange lights in the sky, he thought it was actually a threat to the Air Force base or to United States national security.
Reported it?
And that's why he initially reported it to the Air Force base. The funny thing is, there's some official documentation out there, and I was looking at it just prior to getting on here. But basically, there's a report of it's basically like an air base guard reporting seeing strange craft in the sky, and the date and the time of this guard reporting it to the Air Force base matches up with the same date and time that Paul Bennewitz had reported it to the Air Force base.
So that adds further credibility to his claim.
Correct. Later on in the official documentation, it's revealed that, before I jump into that part, when the Air Force decides to talk to him because they're like, hey, this guy is either, we don't know if he was seeing UFO craft or whether he was seeing top secret aircraft possessed by the United States. So when he reports it to the Air Force base, they are obviously interested because he is seeing either their secrets or he is seeing something else.
Yeah.
So they decide to go and talk to him. They line up, that there's other reports that match his.
So did they send in Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones to talk to him?
Not quite yet. Not quite yet. I think that they framed it up as, look, here's a guy with a pair of binoculars. He's seeing some weird stuff.
Well, Richard Dodie is
Just
the
go out
agent.
there and talk him down.
Yeah, Richard Dodie is the guy that did that. And think about it. What's the short? When you shorten Richard, what do you get?
You get Dick.
Dick Dodie.
He comes in. He comes in a little bit later in the story. Okay. So the first time,
connecting dots.
So the first time these guys come out to talk to Paul Bennewitz, the way that I kind of take it is you get some guys from the Air Force base to head out there, and you say, look, we know that you're a UFO researcher, you're into this stuff. You're seeing just natural things that happen above an Air Force base. basically talk him down, get him to go away.
Good, and he goes, but no, look at my recording devices, and they're like,
exactly.
They're like,
exactly.
Okay,
so they go into his house. Yeah, they go into his house. He starts showing them photographs. He shows them the film that he took, and he's got all this very advanced measurement equipment. And basically the guys are taking in as much as possible. The Air Force officials are taking in as much as possible, and they leave there going, shit, what are we going to do about this?
He's on to us.
Right.
That is the point
here's a
where
guy,
Richard Dodie comes into the picture.
He's a patriot. He's a patriot that is like, hey guys, you're an Air Force base. Maybe it's Russians. He didn't know.
I saw some weird stuff occurring over the Air Force base.
I'm tracking on the electronic bands. I'm tracking conversations that are happening in a digital realm, different frequencies, sped spectrum stuff. He was able to track all that stuff. And then he had different types of cameras, all sorts of stuff set up. And he's like, hey, this is the electronic signature. And you guys got to know that these things are out there, bro. And I'm a patriot, and I'm telling the Air Force. And then what do they do in response? Instead of like, hey, thanks, can we have a conversation with you? Okay. But instead, they didn't trust their own freaking citizens. And that's what really burns my biscuit.
Yeah. And that's why I conspiracy, bro. That's why I conspiracy. This is the stuff.
Yep. So that's the point where basically they go into panic mode, and they assign Richard Dodie to the case. And
short for what?
Dick.
Dick
Dodie. Dick Dodie. And essentially, I mean, if you want to look at what Dick Dodie's assignment was in a nutshell, it is to lead this man as far off the path as possible and do whatever you have to do to get him, to basically discredit him.
Let's reiterate. Operation Mockingjay, but at like a individual scale.
Yeah.
Right?
What was Dick Dodie was a Mirage man, and explain the Men in Black reference and how Men in Black came from the Mirage men.
You want me to? Or you?
Because I was just trying to clarify.
So are Mirage men in Black?
Yes, Men in Black was based. There you go. I guess I just did it.
So yeah, I mean, if you're looking at Mirage Men in Black, think of the movie Men in Black. What do? People see some shit they're not supposed to see. They go in and they actually manipulate their brain. Yeah, they go in there and they manipulate their brain to make them think that they saw something else. It's psychological games.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the movie Men in Black may have taken it a bit far. As far as the technology, but who knows?
Dude, the cockroach.
Maybe they do. Flash.
Maybe they do just mind blank.
The cockroach in the skin suit. That cockroach.
Well, not that guy. I'm talking about how they your memories and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Dude, that's fucking hilarious, dude.
1999.
Hey, that shit was 22 years ago. That is a good movie.
That was a good movie. That was a really good movie. I really liked how all the accurate info was in the tabloids.
You know what? That is not untrue.
That's why we exist, baby.
I have told people for years, if you want to find out what's really going on, look at the tabloids. Mm-hmm. Yes, there's a bunch of bullshit in there. But I remember, Bruce Jenner is now Caitlyn Jenner. Right? Yeah. I remember probably 2 or 3 years prior to Bruce Jenner announcing herself as Caitlyn Jenner. I remember standing at the grocery store looking at a tabloid and saying, Bruce Jenner wants to be a woman.
Well, look at the new book, Becoming Michelle.
Seriously.
Becoming Michelle?
Right? And
Yeah.
who died as soon as she said, everybody knows she's a transformer?
And the tabloids were talking about Obama's secret gay life for years.
So now I question
Before
whether, whether Bat Boy really exists or not. Because he was
Well,
all
look
over
at
the
Wuhan Lab event. Hey,
oh,
dude, Dave.
Bat Boy, like X-Files.
You remember Bat Boy? Everybody knows Bat Boy. But yeah, I mean, tabloids, there's a bunch of bullshit in there, but there are, little
Jones,
jewels, little nuggets of truth sprinkled in there. So,
how many times has Alex Jones been right? That's why they got rid of his ass.
Too many.
Yeah.
Too many. But yeah, back to, let's talk about Richard Dodie. Do you guys think that Richard Dodie, let me frame up the question this way. Do you think that his assignment was simply to lead this Paul Bennewitz astray and, just kind of basically make him fade off into the ether? Or do you think his assignment was take this man so far down the rabbit hole that nobody will believe a goddamn thing he says again?
The latter part. And he brags about it. He brags about infiltrating UFO circles. I mean, look, folks, Edward Snowden revealed that the United States government does have active programs of disinformation regarding alien technology and aliens. Actively. And then you look at all the spooks that are around Tom DeLonge. Now, why the hell would a bunch of CIA people be talking about aliens? And it's to throw Tom DeLonge off. And even his own bandmates said, listen, we don't even want to be around the guy anymore because he's just gone so. And what they've done is they're doing to Tom DeLonge what they did to this other guy.
Yeah. So they mold you into this caricature of yourself.
Right. And so you can't be believed.
Which is, out of the loony bin. And it is totally to discredit you. Yeah, it's a psychological operation. Yes. Not too far different from
the alphabet
on an individual scale.
Right.
And
you take 15% of truth and you add 85% of bullshit, and then people are like, look, you believe in that stuff? And then after a while it's like, so here's the fabric of reality. Fabric of reality exists, and what we see is not what we see. We see the world as we are, not as it is, right? And so the best way to understand the world is to try to see it from different perspectives, which cognitive dissonance comes in, confirmation bias, all that shit. Right. So what these guys do is they go in and they are like reverse therapists. Instead of helping draw you out of problems and issues, and they find the issue of behavior and then they amplify it. They find your weakness and your fear, and then they turn up the dial. And they'll do things like, for example, Dick Dodie sent fake alien stuff to him, sent fake alien languages to get his brain going, sent him fake alien software programs, and then they could track him online as he's working on his stuff. And they fed him continuously for a period of 10 years until the guy went insane.
Do you think the intent was to drive him insane? Or do you think it's more of the assignment is do whatever you feel is necessary to accomplish?
It's hard to say, but
the goal.
I think that they look at it as a win, dude, if the guy kills himself and becomes insane,
just collateral damage.
No, they're like, yeah, we won. No, these are dark, evil motherfuckers. These are dark, evil.
They rejoice when they get you to kill yourself.
These are dark, evil fornicators of motherhood.
He was onto something. They didn't like him on that trail, so they sent in somebody to, intercede. And that was this Dick Dodie guy. So now here's the interesting thing. Dick Dodie did this for years to this guy, and then later admitted
with joy.
Almost like he felt guilty, right?
Yeah.
And then later came out with the fact that he
Can you show my screen? Show my screen real quick.
He was giving this guy disinformation.
Watch. See this? Now look, folks. This dude. Tell me this dude right here is not evil. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dick Dodie. That dude.
Evil Dick.
Boy, that is
Evil
dude,
Dick.
Dick Dodie.
So yeah, but yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you, Kevin. I don't know if the malicious intent exists from the beginning of an assignment like this. I think that it's somebody like Dick Dodie is given an assignment like this. I think that it's a given that it could happen, that somebody is just going to completely unravel and either end up in a mental institution, end up killing themselves, or end up getting murdered in the process. Like I said, I don't think the malicious intent is there from the outset of the assignment, but I think it's definitely a given as part of the assignment. It's like, look, if you really can't get this person to back off and steer them in another direction,
right,
do whatever you have to do to get the job done. I mean, people like Dick Dodie, they basically operate outside the law.
That jives with me. I think,
yeah, they don't have to. It's not like they go in every week and write out a report to their boss.
Right. He probably had
this is all done under the radar.
Problem. And so his first mission was probably to tell this guy that what he saw was wrong.
Yeah.
But then he saw this guy is an engineer, he's a physicist, smart dude, he's got instruments. You can't just convince him that he was wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're
I think in phase two, I think they tried to scare the shit out of him in phase two.
Here's
backfired.
Okay, so it's a government agency. So what they have is FM manuals to say this is how we engage the individual. This is what we do. We discredit them. We drive them, right? So they're following a playbook in advance. It's not like they're just going to go have a talk with. No. So once they identify the threat, they have a pre-existing playbook that they've been using for like 70 years. Yeah. And that is to make the person batshit crazy, disavow. And I've seen this playbook happen in different countries, especially when you're under surveillance. And they'll go around and they'll talk to your neighbors, they'll talk to people in the neighborhood, and they'll plant rumors and innuendo.
Yeah, poison the well.
Yes, and then it follows you around wherever you go, and they'll do that online as well. So I've seen and witnessed this and been a part of it firsthand. So there's a playbook, and the first one is to separate you from your group, to ostracize you. Then you want to isolate them. Then you want to don't help him, leave him alone. He's dangerous, and then you want to tell people not to engage him, not to confront him with the truth, or not to tell him what's going on because it might hurt him. And so then they actually create this drama and this energy because the target knows what's going on. Right. And then everybody else is in a fake world around him. And what they're trying to do is create a psychosis. So it's a playbook, and it is on purpose.
So and do you think that his leap off the deep end was actually like
on purpose from day one?
Engineered?
Yes, it's a playbook. I've witnessed it and I've seen it, and I've been part of it.
So I've been
a target of this.
It's not a sequential. What you're saying is it's not like a sequential playbook where it's like, okay, phase 3 didn't work, we have to move to phase 4. It's like, no, you go from beginning to end no matter what.
If you're a target, they have objectives. and they don't stop till those objectives are done.
Okay.
And whatever happens to you happens.
So whether the individual goes completely insane or commits suicide is that responsibility. That responsibility lies on the individual's head.
They don't see the world the same way we do.
But no,
That's
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
From
their goal is to either make them go nuts or totally just drive them insane and kill themselves.
Yeah,
that's the end goal. That's the target. And you can't just take somebody out, because if you take them out, then it lends credibility and credence to it. And then it's gonna be right. So the best way.
Then you make a martyr out of them.
Yeah, and these people enjoy doing this.
Yeah.
They enjoy.
They want you to take yourself out.
And it's freaky, because when you realize that this is on purpose, and they do it, that's when you that's when you realize, wow, this is deep.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you guys a question then. If Paul Bennewitz was in fact seeing top secret craft, intercepting top secret information, do you think that protecting national security is worth it to undertake these kind of steps on an individual?
No, because what's the point of national security if you're gonna screw over the people you're supposed to protect?
True. True. I'll play devil's advocate here.
Yes.
From a utilitarian ethical standpoint, sacrifice one to save the many.
Right. And
that's one line of thinking.
That's the communist tagline.
It's messed up. Like I said, I'm playing devil's advocate here. But it's messed up.
I know.
It's like this.
Crap, I just outed myself.
It's like this. They didn't trust the guy enough to bring him in, which bothers me. Okay? And instead, they chose to destroy his life.
Sure.
They made him a target.
Because given his knowledge, he may have been a viable asset.
Really,
when you think about it.
So,
let him in and work on some stuff. Put him on the basis of.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
Why didn't they take?
Let him know a little bit. Let him know a little bit so he's sastified, and then just let him do his thing.
Tom DeLonge.
Right? Divert his attention towards healthy shit.
Yeah.
Right? Why do you have to? Okay, so they looked at an American citizen who's patriotic, who's intelligent, and was obviously onto something. And then instead of, okay, bro, let's talk, right? Ixnay on the hombre, right?
Yeah.
This is where we're going to go. This is what we're going to do. That's it.
Ixnay
now, you don't have a choice. You don't have a choice in this matter. The other alternative is we'll find something and lock you away, okay? Ixnay on the hombre, go in this direction. If you want to hang out, we can talk about it. But if you okay. Now, instead of treating him like an adult, treating him like a patriot, treating him like a citizen, they unleashed the hounds. Yes.
Absolutely right.
We can't say that word. We can't say that word. We can't say, "Oh, my Sharona."
We'll just say Carla has commented, "Oh my God, that's what they did to us with what has been going on for the last year." We can't say the word. I think you can all figure it out. But yes, you're right. Yes, you're absolutely
right.
It came from a big building called.
There's a lot of crazy. There's a lot of people out there that everybody thinks is crazy right now.
Yes, and they made it on purpose.
What they have done to us. So.
Yep.
Good point, Carla.
You cannot question the narrative.
That's right.
Well, Carla, obviously something's real because they have to freaking fact check and a meme. I posted a Simpson meme, a Simpson cartoon, and they fact check the cartoon, and you're like, oh my God.
And just to let you guys know, I know Carla. Okay, I've never actually met her in person, but I know her.
Hi, Carla.
Carla.
What's up, Carla?
We might depending on how things kind of shake out, we might want to have Carla on the show sometime.
Ooh.
She's pretty well connected to some people.
I think she feels honored.
Well, she's pretty well connected to some people.
Wow.
Yeah, she's pretty well connected to some people that have like it's what,
like
Tyler?
Much wow.
But anyway, she's got some connections that are very, very active in blowing the lid off of this whole last year. So, yeah, we might
only want to stream that to Twitch just so we don't lose our channel.
That's why we have like 26 channels.
We thought we had problems before. Yeah,
they take us down one place where we're like the Hydra, right?
Yeah. So, but yeah, I to kind of bring the conversation back around, I completely understand what you're saying, Kevin, where they, basically they chose, it's almost like they chose to do it the hard way.
I think that's because they figured out pretty quickly they were dealing with a really smart person.
Yeah, and maybe the hard way, like from our perspective, from Paul Bennewitz's perspective, that's the hard way. But maybe from the government's perspective, it's actually easier for them to go through that entire process rather than to give somebody just a little bit of information or involve them in order to quench that thirst. And
what the government did was unconstitutional. So that's one, right?
Well, yeah.
There's no
question about that.
Fourth Amendment, First Amendment, Fourth Amendment, also, unreasonable. Good God. So yeah, are we children or are we men? And the government teaches us that we are not men, but yet children that must be controlled.
Yeah.
So
Dodie, Richard Dodie, you got to read about. Hey, it's on our website.
What happened to Paul Bennewitz? Tell us about his
Kevin. What happened to Paul?
Untimely demise.
Paul Bennewitz went nuts. His parents, his wife, and the family tried to intervene, and he went insane. He was admitted into a mental institution, and then he killed himself. Yeah. So what they did was they destroyed his life.
Did he ever allege that they were like talking to him in his head?
I don't know that detail. We have the URL if you wanted to find out more. I'll put it in our chat. You might want to put it up, Tyler. It's right here.
I know that he claims to have written a computer code that could basically translate these messages that he was supposedly receiving.
The FBI, not the FBI, but the Mirage men gave him that software.
Exactly.
And then they tracked him with it. And then they played with his mind with it. And then nobody would believe him. I mean, It went so deep and insidious. It's like they enjoyed this, and they used this as a test program for other. Remember, these are the people that are. Okay. 2012, I launched a startup in Clark Air Force Base, which is now called the Clark Zone. Okay, and it was with a foreign investment from an Australian company in terms of a lot of money. And we set up a big data analytics team, and I was interviewed by Al Jazeera. Everything was this is in the heyday of my big data stuff. And I come from the military. I worked for DISA underneath the NSA and whatnot, doing Signal. I basically went to Fort Gordon, Georgia. That was my SIGINT. Yeah. So I did a big data startup, and this software that they had in 2012 could gobble up the entire internet every 12 hours, and then you could track all mediums. It was basically it's $57,000 per person per seat, and we had 8 licenses, and we would sit there and we would track subject sentiment. And you can track it across everything. You track it across every website, every news outlet, and you can track in real time where stories come from, who's sharing it, You could find a one-legged gay man who likes pink martinis on a Tuesday every 3 p.m. And you could do granular search.
Where is he?
Sydney, Australia. So,
Sydney, Australia.
yeah, on Oxford Street. So this level of granular detail, and you can track where stories are coming from, and then you can stop the story. And how do you stop the story? You fact check it. How do you stop the story? You use another called a scorecard, and you go after the individual and you destroy his reputation. And then you blacklist them on social media. So people that spread stories get deplatformed, they get banned. And so what they did back in the day,
we're doomed.
They're doing now.
We all fall into that category, Kevin.
Yeah.
Why do you think I keep getting banned?
We've all been banned too.
I'm grumpy. I lost my other freaking account on Mother's Day. Anyway, so folks, it's active, it's in real time, and it's more invasive than you can even possibly imagine. And that was 9 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a topic for at least one more episode, probably several. But the military has had a objective of full spectrum dominance for at least 50 years, and part of these signals intelligence, human intelligence, et cetera, programs, they're all call it departments in this objective to dominate all
control the narrative
of human communication.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Look at what Stanley McChrystal does, the Stanley McChrystal Group, and look at what they're doing. They're the ones that are attacking. So, for example, the Afghan thing that was 100% fabricated, and that was done from the McChrystal, General Stanley McChrystal. Anyway, god damn, I come off looking like a retard every time. I'm trying to do like real drop knowledge bombs, and it's like I come off looking. Stanley McChrystal has a group, and they take the feed from the NSA. Okay, they take the feed, direct feed, and then they use these tools as a civilian contractor to attack political enemies. And that's why they went after Gates. That's why they went after the Afghanistan bounty story. That's why Russiagate and all this stuff happens. And it's all in real time. And Mike, you said something, I believe it was the last time, about how all the television stations are reading the same script. You guys, it's all controlled.
Yeah.
And that's it, because I don't go too deep.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's all command and control communication. It's clearly evidenced when you compare the scripts from different supposedly local news stations against each other, and they're all reading the same script. Yeah. There's several YouTube videos out there demonstrating this, and that's all part of the full spectrum dominance program.
Well, in the scary thing about the Paul Bennewitz story in particular, and really kind of this broader conversation that we're having, is the government. I mean, we know about the whole "see something, say something" campaign. Basically, they want you to report to them if you see anything out of place, if you think you see something that may threaten national security, under the premise that you'll be rewarded. But I think we're seeing more and more that doing the patriotic thing might actually get you killed, which is a damn shame.
It is. So if doing the patriotic thing will get you killed, then does the government support patriotism?
Well, I did the.
I think only if it benefits them, and they see absolutely zero risk, which I don't think applies to any scenario. Whoa! Look at that.
We're getting really meta over here.
Look at that. It's like being in a mirror maze. But yeah, I mean that's the scary thing to me. It's like, okay, do I say that I saw something like this? Do I go and tell somebody?
Yeah.
If I think it's a real threat, do I go and tell somebody? Or do I simply just keep my mouth shut? Or, what do you do?
Yeah, I mean,
look at Ed Snowden. I mean, that guy did the patriotic thing.
Look at the last year, COVID and Antifa and BLM. If you call the police, can you reasonably expect that they're going to try to protect you? We're just talking about a local level here, right?
I think the answer is that depends, which should not be the answer. The answer should be yes, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not a hard no, but it's like, well, I don't know,
kind
man.
Of a crapshoot, right?
I might think for a while before I pick up the phone,
Yeah.
Well, I have friends that work in the news. And, I have friends who are journalists, and one of my best buddies, his name is Mike Cohen. Mike, I'm going to give you a shout out. He was a anchor for Filipino news, ABS-CBN for like 15 years, and investigative journalist. He also worked for Fox News, knows a lot of the staff at Fox and Friends, the producer, whatnot. And he gives me inside information. Like, Kevin, I don't know if you know this, but he told me 2018 that China was going to be spending near $1 billion on American media to push stories and disinformation. He asks me all the time for sources on leads, like, hey, what's going on locally with China invading? And so I give him tips all the time, and then he writes stories about it. So there are definitely pushes by power structures, and especially from the EU, CCP China, Iranian and Qatarian, and different factions within the Middle East for power and control. And Turkey's one, Russia's another, the EU, France, you name it, they all have narratives. And I'm finding what's hilarious is they shut Julian Assange up. And he's in prison for what? For what? He's not charged with anything. He's just sitting there.
He's just pulled up at this embassy for 6 years.
Now he's in prison.
Is he in prison yet? No, I thought he was still at the embassy.
They raided the embassy and they took him out a year ago.
When was that?
A year ago, 18 months ago, right when Epstein was killing himself.
Okay.
Wow.
That's why you didn't hear about it, because Epstein.
Yeah. When Epstein didn't kill himself.
When Epstein didn't kill himself.
Yeah. And then, hey.
You became a victim of the diversion, Tyler.
I must have.
Tyler.
I consider myself pretty
We all have.
Squirrel.
Here's another thought. And this just popped into my head. I was trying to piece it together earlier, but here's another thought. And obviously this didn't happen because Dick Dodie has laid out the story, or at least this doesn't go according to what he said. What if the supposed disinformation, basically all of the things that Paul Bennewitz heard, saw, and was given, what if it was actually real? And that's what drove him crazy.
So,
what if it was real? What if they fed him the realest shit that they could, knowing that he couldn't handle it, and then they use that to their advantage to discredit him.
Yeah. So they might have fed him the real stuff, and then they decided, no, we shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
And so
they
then it was a campaign of discreditation.
Yeah, Dick Dodie.
So
well they show you the real
thing with disinfo, dude.
they show you the real they show you the real stuff. They show you the real stuff, knowing that it's so fucking unbelievable that nobody in their right mind would believe you.
Possibly, but even if
Chuck Schumer said it best when Trump was talking. And he goes, "You don't want to f with the intelligence agencies. They got 17
They
ways.
got 6 days from Sunday to take you out."
Right? Yeah, and he goes, "You have no idea."
Chucky Schumer.
Anyway, I think
So
I don't know if we've come to
Information
any conclusions other than
there's
people are
nothing
gonna
to
fuck with your head.
conclude. There's
really nothing to conclude.
We've laid out the potential conclusions to the best of our ability. They meaning the Men in Black, the Mirage Men. They want you to.
Buck Swain says hello.
Yourself. They want you to
chat's not
confuse
working
yourself on this stuff.
They want
Chat's
you to
not
what?
working
I'm
on
sorry.
Twitch.
Confuse
People are
yourself.
messaging us on Twitch, but I can't respond because the chat's not working.
I was asking Tyler what he said.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. You're all right.
They want you to confuse yourself so that you become unsure of what you've seen.
Yeah, it's a
Dude,
it's a
unsure
playbook.
of yourself. That's the ultimate disinformation right there. When you are not even sure of what you yourself have experienced.
Yeah.
We need that playbook. We need to get. We should probably look in Wikipedia dumps to find out if we can get a hold of that playbook for how they destroy people. Because it exists. It's a manual.
They're out there. Look at the Rules for Radicals by Saul Alinsky. Isolate, freeze, mock. Okay, that's one heuristic. Then there's discredit, undermine, disengage. I mean, there's all these frameworks out there for accomplishing this stuff.
Yep.
Maybe there's a
we can find.
manual.
Yeah. But there's no real conclusion except
Mirage Men exist. Men in Black
exist.
Yeah.
Richard Dodie is a dick.
Dick Dodie.
If you see something, don't necessarily say something.
If you see something, talk to us.
It could happen to you.
When I hear if you see something, say something, I think of Ilhan Omar's "Some People Did Something."
Yeah. When you say some people see something, say something, I think of Richard Jewell in Linwood.
Richard Jewell, who's that?
The guy that saw the bomb, warned everybody, and then the FBI prosecuted the dude who saw the bomb.
That was the Olympic bombing, correct?
Yes,
Typical FBI.
Yeah.
1996, and Richard Jewell got him off.
Yep.
Or Linwood got him off.
Yeah, Linwood got him off.
Clint Eastwood, good movie. Clint Eastwood directed it.
Yeah.
You're going to notice the theme with Clint Eastwood.
A thing?
He's a thread weird. A theme.
Oh, dude, we should get him on the podcast.
Yeah.
I just want him to come on and sit here and scowl at us for 45 minutes.
And then open a beer.
Get
off my lawn.
That's right.
But yeah, it's scary when you think you're trying to help and your own government stabs you in the back, pretty much. So
yeah.
But why don't we wrap this one up, guys? What do you think?
Paul Bennewitz, look him up.
Yes, it's spelled.
Honor him by looking into his story.
We have this listed on our blog under the Dulce, New Mexico. So I put that link there. You might want to put it up there. And
I thought I did already.
Yeah, people on Twitch have been messaging, but something's broken here and I can't respond. So for those of you who've been commenting on Twitch, I appreciate it. And then those who are tweeting at me, I also appreciate you, and I'm grateful. That's it for me.
Cool.
So just real quick, I think on Monday, tentatively, we are going to have a subject matter expert on Bigfoot join us. So Bigfoot is something that I'm
convert to this topic.
Yeah,
this
I
is
mean
good.
it's interesting stuff, and I'll be the first to admit I'm interested in Bigfoot. I don't know a ton, and that's why I think having a guest that is very knowledgeable in the topic.
If you've seen Harry and the Hendersons, awesome. You know the whole story.
Listen,
totally accurate, 100% accurate, 100% accurate.
The Man Who Killed Hitler and Then Bigfoot is actually a pretty good movie. Okay,
you saw it?
Yeah, it was great. So here's the thing: you have
I didn't
two
even know
ideas.
it was out.
The Man Who Killed Hitler and Bigfoot, right? And then you're like, we got 2 movie ideas, but we only have the budget for 1, so we're just gonna combine them. But yeah, dude, it's awesome. The Man Who Killed Bigfoot or Hitler.
I'll drop this bomb. I'll drop this bomb. This Moab.
You should watch it before.
Chewbacca is Bigfoot.
Watch it
Chewbacca
before.
Is Bigfoot?
Watch it before Monday.
Chewbacca is modeled after Bigfoot.
Really?
Well, yeah.
Mind is blown.
Oh wait. Yeah. So, okay. Kevin, I didn't even know. You sent me the trailer to that movie. I didn't even know it was like available for watching yet. And actually, when you sent it to me, I thought it was a joke at first.
So did I.
Somebody was like, "This would be funny as hell. Let's put together a fake trailer."
Vampire Slayer.
Where can I find it? Where can I find it? What's it on?
I'll send you the link.
Okay.
It should be on YouTube.
Is it? Okay. I'll just look on YouTube.
Okay. So YouTube or 123movies.net or sockshare.net. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye, Carla.
Bye, Carla.
Thanks for joining us.
They're streaming services from Russia.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I'll do that. But yeah, so as for right now, on Monday, we're planning on having. I think we're all going to learn quite a bit about Bigfoot, which I'm excited to do. So
yeah.
So yeah, we'll be live again Monday night, same time, 9:00. We're usually a little bit after 9:00.
And by the way, the Sasquatches don't like the term Bigfoot. That's like an epithet to them.
Well, it depends on where you.
What about Yeti? What about Yeti?
Depends. Okay, a Yeti is
Yeti. That's what the Tibetans call them.
Exactly, that's Tibetan. Now, if you're down like in, I think it's northern Florida, I think they refer to it as the skunk ape. And I don't know if that's like a different
I would assume
species.
That's an epithet to them too.
Look.
Yeah.
They
I don't know if it's like a variation of the species or if it's the same
thing.
thing.
They've cooking way too much chemicals in those trailers in Florida.
So
they see a lot of things.
These are questions that we want to ask our guest, I think. So
we do,
because if anybody's going to know, he's going to know.
So if you want to find out answers to these
what's his name?
Multitudinous questions, tune in to us on Monday for the real deal about Sasquatch.
His name is Jason Weaver.
Jason Weaver, look forward to talking to you, buddy.
Yep. So, and like I said, Monday is tentative, but I think we're looking pretty solid to have him on here on Monday. So, but yeah, we will get out of here. Thank you everybody for joining us. Be sure to check out a lot of the topics that we talk about in here are also on the Threadweird blog. Which you can find at threadweird.com, as well as, the products that I have for sale, shirts, hoodies, accessories, that kind of thing. And if you saw one of our ads today that I put out there, I pissed some people off. So that means I'm doing something right. So.
Hey, the Fauci flip-flop's good, huh? All right.
Oh, I put out the death one today.
That's my favorite shirt. The Fauci flip-flop.
Or no, I did lies. I'm sorry. The one that says lies on it. Given what just happened. Oh, Kevin's gone. He's out. Anyway, thanks for joining us, everybody. We will see you next time.